Hi there, and thanks for joining me for another episode of Mr. Ed Makes, and in this episode I'm going to be putting scars on this spell book. So I started using this technique to texturize different objects, and I noticed that it kind of looked like the Evil Dead spell book, the Necronomicon or whatever that's called. It looked like the cover of that a little bit. It's just missing maybe the eyes and the mouth, but you know, a little artistic license, you could put that on there too. This is going to be an easy one for you. So I take a piece of canvas board or anything stiff. You could use a piece of cardboard, I suppose, and then you put some glue on there, and then taking a piece of brown packing paper, avoid the word moist, and put some water on there, wring it out, and then sprinkle the paper on there. Scrunch wrinkle, I guess it is. What you're trying to do is give the impression that the material you're working with is unrefined and kind of raw and done out in the woods kind of feeling, I guess. So I'm melting pieces of plastic on there, and I get the plastic from like a medium trash bag, something that's clear and unscented, and a fairly thin plastic, something that could probably easily tear. The reason why I'm using these plastic bags is because I didn't have a high degree of confidence that they would actually hold trash without breaking through. So I decided to put them to use as a material in my art. So I cut them into like 1-inch strips, unfurl them into like the loops that they are, and then just wrap them around, heat gun it, and then repeat that until you get a good layer on there. I don't know, you could count them up and see how many I put on there, but it might be maybe 10 or so, a dozen. And do more if you want. If you can just build it up, go crazy. You could start out like this, and then as you get halfway through building it up, you could probably start working on shaping it and putting some eyes in there or a mouth and making it look really gross and creepy. So on the other side, I'm going to treat that, have an application so that it looks really nice on the inside cover, and I have to have a surface that stuff will attach to. So I put some masking tape on there and just flush off those ends. And I'm going to have to put something that the two covers, the front and back cover, can attach to one another, and then the pages inside can attach to it. So I thought of this idea of adding rings. Had these little brass rings. You could use loops of cotton string, yarn, hair, if you wanted to get really creepy, I guess. Anything, wire. Just as long as you can get a loop that sticks out that will let you, like an eye, that you can put a string or something through. So I put some tape on there. I'm trying to reinforce it so it doesn't pull out. So I got some glue, and the glue is going to hold the one end of the ring in place, and then the tape is going to really hold it down, kind of reinforce it. They aren't evenly spaced out, like perfectly evenly spaced out, because I wanted, again, to give it that raw appearance. I didn't want it to look manufactured. I wanted it to look handmade by maybe some old crone or somebody whose hands are all arthritic and they just can't do anything, because it's probably close to the truth. So I lined up the dots with the rings in the other one that I had made before, because I didn't want to film this idea for the first time. This is like the third time I've done this. So I come up with the idea, test it out, it works okay, and then I film the other part of it, is usually how it goes with me. So I put some tape down to just reinforce those rings, and now I've got some felt paper that has an adhesive back. You could use cardstock or even repeat the brown paper packaging, brown packaging paper. Get those words in the right order there. You could use that, repeat the process for it. I had this material laying around, so I thought it would make a nice added touch to it. If you use this, be aware that the felt stretches when you put it down, so you want to be careful not to pull, or else it's going to go out of the shape that you've cut it in. I found that out pretty quickly. I could feel it going. I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is going to stretch way past the end, and then I'm going to have to cut parts of it off. And so I dialed it back. So it did kind of go over a little bit. It may not have that problem if you use the paper. It might be easier. So when I laced these up here, I did it just like a shoe. I got maybe halfway through, and I'm like, I'm doing this the hardest way possible. I should have probably researched how to put string through loops, because I'm sure there's some science behind it, maybe even ways of doing it a lot easier and faster. Like, I could have folded the book up and put the pieces, like the two halves together, and done the loops there all lined up that way, but I don't know why I did it flat. I pulled it out and started over again, and figured out that I was doing it the wrong way. Also, I would paint it before I would assemble it if I had to change this product. But you can see there's the final. I put some pages inside there. Not very many. I'm going to add more, possibly. Depends. And in this next shot, you can see I added the texture to a glass bowl. So it's got a versatile. Anything that can withstand the heat shrinking can be wrapped in this. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do this project, please let me know. Find me on social media, send me a photo, post it to my wall, whatever. And hit like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified, and as always, until next time, you guys, take care.